What's going on, guys? It's the House of Orange Sports Channel coming at you. NCAA tournament round one. Carrie's in the house tonight. Frank's in the house tonight. Tennessee moves on to the round of 32 tonight, 77-62 over Wofford. Was this kind of what you expected tonight, about the type of game you expected?
Yeah, I know it's definitely hard to really expect games whenever it comes to the NCAA tournament, but if you had to guess on how the game would go, I feel like tonight was a perfect example of how you kind of expected things to go, just considering that's kind of how Rick Barnes wins first round games in the NCAA tournament, is he just kind of does to Wofford like he does every single year against first year opponents or first team in March Madness that they play, is just kind of shut them down, just kind of dominance. Nothing pretty, nothing ugly, just kill the other team and demolish them, and then move on. And then it's simply, I'm sure they've already turned the page to Saturday now, which is a good thing.
It was just kind of take care of business, is what it seemed like to me. I mean, like you said, it wasn't necessarily pretty. It wasn't ugly. It was just get the job done and move on. And that's what this team did tonight. I kind of expected, honestly, 20 to 25 points, but this team was in control for the whole game. It would they would seem like double digits, and then Wofford would hit some shots. Credit to them on it as well. I mean, because they hit some tough shots also. But Tennessee was in control. There was never a point where I felt like, all right, Wofford's about to make this a game. I mean, they would get it to 9, and then I don't know how many times when they got it to 9 that Chaz he come up and took over on the night. Big night for him as well. Hopefully he saves some for the second round going forward. But, other than what we expect tonight, what's some thoughts you had about tonight's game?
It kind of like, of course, Chaz stole the show. Ziegler kind of does what he continues to do, just pass the ball around, play good defense. Mayshak was a little bit of a surprise. He had 9 points, which is, by looking at it, third most on the team. So that's kind of a surprise coming from him. It was kind of just a game where you didn't need too much from anybody else other than Chaz. I think everybody else gave you everything that you really needed. There were some guys that, of course, we would have liked to have a little bit more from. I don't think Igor played that good of a game. He has to step up. I know they were harping on him to get some rebounds, but he only finished with 3 rebounds. So definitely need him to rebound the ball going forward, since he is your 4-man. I don't know how we will match up going down the line, no matter if it's Utah State or UCLA or other teams, if we make it even further than that. I think he gives up. He has the height advantage over most 4s. The size isn't there, but overall, if Tennessee wants to make a deep run, I definitely think Igor needs to be more of a factor rebounding the ball. He doesn't have to score too many points, but I need him to get anywhere 8+ rebounds every game for me to be comfortable with Tennessee making a deep run, because I think he's the secret. And you saw that early in the season. Whenever he was getting a lot of rebounds, Tennessee won, and they won pretty comfortably. So I'd like to see that going forward.
Yep, totally agree. 5 points, 3 boards on the night. And I thought tonight there were even times that smaller dudes were getting the ball away from him. And he's all of a sudden, any of you that's watching that were, hell, this may have been before Carrie's time. The reference I'm about to make. I don't know when Igor has developed Charles Hathaway hands. And what I mean by that is, it's like there was a pass late in the game. Ziegler hit Igor perfectly, and he fumbles it. I think it ended up going off of Wofford out of bounds, but it was a perfect pass. His hands have all of a sudden, he's got hands of stone.
Yeah.
Now, and I don't know what's happened. Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what has happened here with him. It's not been good, though, because I was really high on him coming in the season. He was playing some really good basketball earlier, but yeah, I totally agree. We have got to have more out of him moving forward on it.
Do you think it's a little bit, since he did get banged up? I'm pretty sure there was something that's been lingering with him. I don't remember which body part it was, but that one could be a huge factor in what's not going on. And Zakai did mention that there's some guys on the team with injuries that's not been talked about, and he could be one of those guys that has a pretty big injury that could potentially keep you out of some games. if they weren't so meaningful, but he's still playing through it. But we, of course, don't know, and we'll learn that going down the stretch. Maybe after the season, something may come out of he may have torn a muscle in his leg or something, and he's just been playing through it. We'll definitely see, which actually may be the case. There may be something going on with his legs, considering rebounding's not there, the jumping isn't there as much. He's having some hard time finishing, so there could be an underlying issue there with him, unfortunately.
Yeah, you may be spot on that one, because a lot of times it's not like the NBA where guys, they get a hangnail and they go set out for a week or anything. These guys will normally play through stuff. And normally, especially with Tennessee's a very physical team. If a guy is out, it's serious with them. And, how many times, like you said, are there guys on this team, and especially maybe in this case, where there's another underlying issue that we're not aware of along the way? Because his production is, like you said, we don't necessarily need the scoring.
Yeah.
We need the rebounding, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're exactly right on that one.
It may come down to it in the future of Tennessee needs to score some points or get back into a game, and you do the 4-guard lineup of Zakai, Chaz, Meshack, and Gainey, and you need to have a 5. Igor could play that perfectly because he can give you a lot of points. He can give you more on the offensive side than Phillips and Akpar both can. So if you can get him cooking like what he should be or what he can be, then it's dangerous, because Tennessee can roll out that 5-man lineup right there, and it's could be game over for most teams.
I don't think anybody can handle him with that lineup. Like you said, Igor's playing the way that he's capable of playing. I agree with you on it, because when I've seen that lineup, I like it. But there's a difference with Akpar. I mean, if Akpar is controlling the middle, and they were hitting him down tonight with some dunks along the way. But, the thing, if Igor's playing his game, rebounding the way he can, and he's much more of a scoring threat than Akpara. I mean,
definitely
in terms of his versatility. Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Everything but the lob.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I don't know if I remember Igor having a lob all year. He's had dunks, but most of the lobs have been Akpara or Kate
He's
Phillips.
Downhill. He's one of those guys that's downhill that tries to take your head off.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as of lately, it's been the opposite way. They've been coming down on him and dunking it right on his head. I've seen there was 2 of those last week that made Sports Center top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But pretty solid night. I mean, looking stats, Akpara 7 and 5. Rebound battle was 31-31, and that was one of the things coming in. Said Wofford, they're a really good rebounding team. So 31-31, I'll take it. On the night, now you get UCLA or Utah State. Man, I look at those 2 teams. I'm not that concerned about them. And I may be wrong on it, but nothing I saw on either team really scares me.
I think the funny thing about UCLA is that earlier in the season, their coach called every single one of them out and was basically hating on his guys in a press conference of we're just not, it's not there. I'm having a hard time making this group mesh together. Chemistry isn't there. They're playing awful. And I don't know what I'm just coaching. That's all I'm doing. And these guys just aren't doing what I want them to do. And now look at them. Now they made the run after that, got hot. I don't know how I think if my coach disrespected my team like that, I think it's going to be hard to put together what they have put together, made the run. So it's kind of interesting what we'll see from them if they do beat Utah State tonight.
Yeah, that's he's kind of, what he have a rant about playing on the East Coast.
Yeah, he also had
that was one.
Yeah.
One.
Well, you signed up for that, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, when you went to the Big Ten, I mean, it totally changed the geography of what you were going to be playing moving forward. So, it is what it is. I mean, money talks, I guess, and you go from there. But I mean, it's a good team. Don't get me wrong, by any means. Both of them are. But I think I saw where Ken Palm rankings has Tennessee UCLA top 35 in both. But just looking at the analysis of both teams, the previews of both teams, if Tennessee plays their game, I think Tennessee should move on pretty comfortably to the Sweet 16. Maybe like tonight where they're in control. The other team maybe makes it a little close. I'm looking at some highlights of UCLA right now. They got a big who can step out and shoot, so they'll have to account for that. Looks like they got some they got multiple big guys, it looks like. I don't know. Maybe they're a tougher matchup than I anticipate, but I don't know. I just think with Tennessee, if they play their game and do their thing, if they're, to me, you could agree or disagree here. I think they're better off when they're trying to get to the rim. And then, they're still going to take their 20 or so 3-pointers per game.
Mm-hmm.
That's the norm. But, if they're sitting outside just jacking up threes the whole game, that's where they're very beatable. You agree or disagree with that?
I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, that's how we lost at home to Kentucky was you didn't drive, you stayed out, and you shot 3-pointers. I think Tennessee's at its best whenever Zakai's at the point and running all over the place and kicking the ball out to guys, and we're making threes like that. Whenever we're moving the ball the most, I think that's a really good thing, especially whenever we can keep the turnover ratio down. I just think that Tennessee's the most lethal. Even when you have like Chaz and Gainey pulling up from the mid-range, that opens up a different characteristic of the Tennessee offense that most people don't really account for.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Kentucky game, 11 out of 45 on that night. I'm looking to stats most of the way here. Most games, they're around 25 or less. Now, you have the outliers. You have UT Martin. Why in the hell against UT Martin they decide to chuck up 37 threes? I don't know. Syracuse 29.
It's UT Martin. So,
yeah, maybe you're working on something there. I mean, Western Carolina 27. Mississippi State 20, Kentucky 45. That was the 45 was definitely the outlier. Ole Miss was 31. I don't think it's any coincidence that you fire up 45 against Kentucky and you fire up 31 against Ole Miss, and both results were losses. This team's got to be closer. I think really no more than 25 is my opinion. No more than 25, and you're looking pretty good.
Because whenever you get higher than that number, Tennessee's probably in a deficit and shooting threes to try to come back. So if you look at the box score after the game and just look at that stat without seeing the score, you kind of want to see Tennessee with a lower number of threes because otherwise I feel like the higher it is, the more of a chance you see Tennessee actually losing the game.
Yeah. I mean, you look at this past weekend, the SEC tournament, 26 against Florida, 19 against Auburn. That's a good number to me because 70 to 65. Tennessee, if they get around 70, I feel like they're mostly going to be hard to beat.
Yes.
On it. And unless their defense is off. Now, I felt Wofford, I don't know. I want to explore UCLA a little bit more, but UCLA's got to win tonight. I'm not going to explore it and then them get beat tonight and it be all for nothing. But Wofford moved the ball pretty well tonight. I'll give them. They talked about their pace. I'm starting to think the pace thing is a bit overrated because I didn't necessarily think Wofford looked like a slow down offense. Yeah. They were moving the ball. I don't know. They had the dude that looked like he was easily about 35 years old. Yeah, he moved well. His hands just weren't.
Yeah, he just
good. I was surprised at how well he moved. But
I wish we would have saw him shoot a free throw.
I so wanted it just one time, just hack the piss out of him, let him go shoot some free throws. But no, they did pretty good on it because I was telling my wife earlier on it, and I was telling her about the dude, and there's evidently a show on Netflix with Kate Hudson where I can't remember what the name of it is, she said, but it's a basketball, and they're shooting granny free throws in it and stuff. I said, well, this dude, he shoots them for a reason, because she said, well, on there they shot him because they couldn't hit him. I said, well, that's why this dude does it too, and he still doesn't hit too many of them.
No, he's like 31%.
Tonight will be the night he'll go 10 for 10 on the line, probably. But, I kind of wanted to see that. But, Wofford, again, I expected 20, 25 points, but the 15-point differential does not surprise me at all. It was a comfortable game. but it was one where you still had to do some stuff to win it along the way. Decent win. Wofford, I mean, obviously at this point, Wofford was a 6th seed in the Southern Conference. They got hot. I've gone on these rants before, how I don't like it. Should have been UT Chattanooga in my opinion, but obviously it's never going to matter. But obviously they got hot at the right time, went to Asheville, won the Southern Conference tournament. So you can't take anybody coming in like that lightly because they've gotten hot and won an SEC tournament. So, I mean, Chaz, big night for him tonight. And, everybody's saying it too. The key, Chaz goes for 20, Tennessee wins.
Yep.
And do you think Chaz is Tennessee's best player?
Right now, yes.
You do think so?
Yes.
Okay. I've kind of gone back and forth. I went with saying that Zakai and Gainey were, but, I get depends on the night, too. I mean, tonight Chaz was easily. I liked how he played tonight. I mean, he's hitting the 2-pointers. He's getting in the paint a little bit. He's hitting those, pull-up jump shots. He's hitting the threes. Seemed like he was working. Now, maybe it was a difference in defense tonight versus a better team, but I don't know. He was really good tonight, but I thought Zakai he was awesome tonight too, though. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was in control. His game on the night, I mean, he had 12 points, 12 assists. Here's the big one for me. No turnovers.
Yeah.
That's huge. And what else did Ziegler do tonight?
Break the career assist record at Tennessee.
All-time career record. He's up by, what did he need, 2 to break it tonight?
Yeah, pretty sure.
So now he's up, 11?
Mm-hmm.
And moving on. Hopefully he continues to increase that one because here's the bottom line with these dudes. These seniors, Zakai Ziegler, Chaz Lanier, Jamal Meshack, Igor Milicic, Jordan Gainey, Darling Stone Dubar, one more loss, and it's a career for them in college.
Yep.
I think they're pretty well aware of that. So there's one of two things that's going to happen. You're either going to lose, and it's going to be emotional, or you're going to cut the damn nets down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
One or two. In my bracket, which has been a disaster today, I have picked them to cut the nets down, but part of that may be my fandom. So, what do you want to see? Do you have any concerns moving forward with this? We've seen the bracket. Let's say, let's look at the next round. I don't know how much you've looked at those two teams or not, but let's just go ahead and hit the elephant in the room. If we win as we should Saturday, Kentucky takes care of business. We see Kentucky in the Sweet 16. What does this team have to do differently this time than they did the first two times?
Just play Rick Barnes basketball. Don't get out of yourself. Don't shoot more threes than you have to. Stick to the game plan. Play good defense. It's hard, extremely hard to beat a team 3 times throughout the course of a season, especially when the two teams, whenever Tennessee kind of does have the better team overall, it would be really hard for Kentucky to beat us 3 times in one season like that, especially with the Butler being out or Robinson, whichever one it is that's out for the rest of the season now. I think it'll be really extremely hard. I mean, Rick's coached in NCAA tournaments before. Pope doesn't have any wins according to his name other than as a player. So it's totally different in March, of course, but it's hard to beat Tennessee 3 times in a season. Tennessee's playing different basketball. Whenever Kentucky came to Knoxville, it was just kind of Tennessee just had played awful. Whenever we went to Lexington, they edged it out at home, which you kind of expect them to do. You play them again, they're not going to shoot lights out like we have seen them the past 2 times. It'll be more even balanced. and Tennessee's just not. I don't think Zakai Ziegler is going to let that happen. Like that's just not going to happen. He's not going to go out his senior year and have Kentucky beat him 3 times and it's the last one to send him home and put his career in the books. Like that's just, I don't see that happening whatsoever. I kind of want to play them because I don't think it'll happen.
That's what it comes down to me for, is pride.
Yeah,
it comes down to pride, because can you imagine those guys, especially Ziegler and Meshack, who've been there this time, their careers end by losing to Kentucky 3 times.
Yep.
I'm not letting that happen, man. I mean, that's easy to sit here and say, yeah, I'm not letting it happen. But, I think that comes down to a pride thing. A lot of that was their defense, both meetings. I mean, and hats off to Kentucky. They hit some tough shots. But the defense was, man, I can't sit and say I watched those 2 games and said our defense was really on point. So Kentucky was hitting. It's Robinson that's out. Butler got hurt, but I think I saw that he is going to play. So, how close is he to it?
Yeah.
But, if Kentucky's trying to force you to shoot threes to beat them, do like you did against Florida. They started driving, and that's when the game got real. Because they hit the first 2 threes, and that might have been the worst thing that happened to begin it, because then they shot nothing but threes for the first 5 minutes or so.
Yeah.
And then, the thing at Florida is one of those teams, too. You don't want to get in a 3-point contest.
No.
Even though the percentages were close. I'm really shocked at how close the percentages were, because I thought Florida hit some big shots. But, well, I mean, somebody said Kentucky hadn't made it yet. We haven't either. So we're looking at Kentucky's road. I mean, they got Troy, tomorrow? And then they'll play. I don't understand why the regions are not all played on the same day. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
No. Really,
why they're split up like that. But then if Kentucky wins, they'll play either Illinois or Xavier. And, if Illinois shows up, Kentucky better bring it, or Illinois will send them
even
to the
Xavier.
house. Yeah.
Even Troy. Right. I think from what I've seen, Troy isn't the best matchup for Kentucky, just considering how the 2 teams play basketball. That's what I saw. I don't know if that's true, but I think that's what I saw.
I think Kentucky is a team that could be primed to get put out early.
They could, but then again, if we see them in the Sweet 16, I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, they seem to play to their competition.
Yeah.
I mean, because they've beaten Tennessee twice, they've beaten Florida, they've beaten Duke, but then they've lost to, Georgia,
Oklahoma.
Vanderbilt. I mean, we lost to Vanderbilt too, but they lost to Ole Miss. They seem to kind of play up to what their competition is. So Tennessee's a little more even killed. Tennessee really doesn't have – I don't consider at Vanderbilt on basically a buzzer beater a bad loss.
Yeah.
I don't really consider at Ole Miss a bad loss, not what the state of the SEC was this year. I don't really feel Tennessee had a bad loss. There are some games I don't feel they should have lost, but I don't consider them bad losses either. But before we worry about Kentucky, we got to worry about Utah State or UCLA along the way. And we're basically seeing a 7-man rotation. Can a 7-man rotation go all the way?
It's extremely hard to do it, but if anybody can do it, it's this bunch. I would be hesitant if there was a lot of underclassmen guys given production, but these are guys Zakai and Jemai have been in the NCAA tournament every year they've been here. Gainey has a year under his belt. Chaz, of course, doesn't. Igor, of course, doesn't. Cade Phillips does a little bit. He played a little bit last year. I'm pretty sure they put him in at one point to guard Zach Edey. So, these guys, they do have experience, especially at guards, which is the most important if they have played in the NCAA tournament before. So I think a 7-man rotation can lead you a really far way. But if you do catch any injury whatsoever, it's going to be extremely hard. But it was surprising because Bishop had his basket tonight. And he scored more points tonight than he did the entirety of SEC play, which is just absurd.
I totally missed it too.
Yeah, it was nice.
1 for 1.
He drove it, did a little spin, and laid it up. It was nice. I mean, because I don't think if I recall correctly, which I'm like 98% sure that I am, he scored 0 to 1 points the entire SEC season and the SEC tournament. So, yeah.
0.
So for him to score tonight was surprising. And it was in the first half. It wasn't like it was in like bogus time. Like it was in an important part of the basketball game.
I'm hoping he's that guy that now he's not been relied upon a whole lot this year. So I'm hoping he's that guy that next year all of a sudden you see. I mean, who would have thought Jordan Gainey would do what he's done this year?
Yeah.
I mean, he was streaky last year, but for the most part, he struggled. He had his games early, and then it was like a real long struggle, and then he had, a couple games late. His improvement this year has been, big time.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't necessarily expect Bishop Boswell to become Jordan Gainey next year.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping he makes a big enough improvement because there's virtually no offense returning next year. And I was going to ask you this too. Maybe you know something I don't. A lot of people are saying, well, J.P. Estrella would be the difference. Do we know that? I've not seen enough. And maybe he would. But I know he's tall. I know he was forced in that. You and I both use this one here. He was forced into action because we had an all-SEC center against Zach Edey sitting on the bench with the towel over his head.
You know what he did tonight, right?
No.
He scored like 22, 24 points tonight, and they beat Kansas.
They did beat. Oh, they did, didn't they?
Yeah. That ruined my perfect bracket, but it's all right.
Yeah, it was. Yours a lot better than mine, man.
Well, I create a lot, so.
But
that's how
But it's like I would not have had a problem with Jonas Adu last year if not for the Purdue game on it. I don't have a problem if a guy outmuscles him, which happened some.
Adu did kind of disappear in some big games last season, so the criticism was there and it was fair, I feel like.
I thought it was more of, he did, but I thought it was more of he just got outmuscled some.
Yeah.
But that Purdue game, it was odd. I still don't know what happened. But all of a sudden, I don't remember any of these other games. He was over there with a towel over his head.
He just got taken to the woodshed. That's what it was. Like he got dominated. He got physically dominated by Edey for the second time. That's last season, and it took a toll on him. So, oh well. That is the thing about Estrella though, is he's a lot beefier than like even Okpara, and he's got another inch or two on Okpara. So his size is what's an advantage. I mean, he kind of looks like the two guys that's going to run out tonight for Michigan. And I'm so grateful we don't have to run into Michigan because they are a nightmare team. They have 2 7-footers, and those 2 7-footers are the best players they have on their team. So
yeah, and a lot of people's predicting them to lose tonight too.
Yeah, I mean, I have them personally in my bracket in the Final Four, just because a 5 or worse seed has made it to the Final Four of the last 11 tournaments. So the trends say that a team as a 5th seed or worse is going to make it to the Final Four. And I didn't know who else to pick. I knew Michigan had 2 like extremely good 7-footers. They've been hot lately, so I was like, go ahead, go to the Final Four. Because I don't think Auburn makes it. I don't even know if Auburn gets past Creighton.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. A lot of people were picking Louisville to beat.
No, I never.
I don't know. I don't know how you send Louisville to. And I know them Kentucky are rivals. Still don't see how you send an 8 seed right down the road.
Yeah,
but it didn't work out for them too well. Estrella and Okpara are both 6'11", though.
Oh, I thought that Estrella was like 7-footer, 7'1". I
mean, less official. I was thinking they both were, but I've seen a lot of people like the Florida game saying, "Well, Estrella would have been the difference," and I'm like, what are we going off of? And I'm not like saying anything bad about the guy, but I've not seen enough out of him to really know what his game is.
I think it's just the difference in the 2 players. I mean, Okpara, isn't going to give a lot on the offensive end. He can get a bucket when like you throw it down to him and he has a mismatch, or if it's a lob play. And the defense is elite. Like he can play elite defense. And Estrella's a little bit different. The defense isn't quite as good, but on the offense, he can post up on anybody and he can score that way. Like he has the hook shot, and the hook shot's very productive for him. So I think it's just the two different guys. Of Parr is going to give it to you on defense. He's going to score a lot of points, but that's definitely not where he's the most lethal. And then Estrella gives you a good amount of points, and then the defense takes a little bit of a step down. So they do kind of mix and match really well. So that would be, look out for Tennessee next year. If Agpara and Estrella both come back, both are healthy, and both are on the court at the same time.
Now, isn't Estrella supposed to be a guy who can step out though and actually hit some?
He's supposed to be
outside shots. I mean,
Agpara. There was a video of Agpara today nailing 3-point shots. So it's a matter of Rick Barnes letting him do it. And I don't remember a Tennessee center doing that under Rick Barnes, which, because if they do it, they get chewed out, and then they don't do it again.
You just hit the nail on the head. I wonder, because Akpara, he's 1 for 1. He's got the 1,000% right now. So, because Barnes said if I was him, I'd never take another one. But that's what I wonder too, because supposedly coming in, Estrella is a guy who could step out and hit some shots, but you hit the nail on the head. Is Barnes going to allow him to step out and do it? But I think he needs to allow him to step out and at least hit a mid-range jumper. And I say the same with Cade Phillips too. If Cade Phillips would develop a mid-range jumper,
he'd be good.
Yeah, because
or grow an inch or two in the summer, then he'll be even better.
Well, he's another one though. You talk about growing in the summer. How much of a difference between him between last year and this year?
Huge difference.
Huge difference. Yeah, the key with them, you've got Boswell. I don't see any reason Boswell wouldn't return. People have said, well, I don't know why he would, or I doubt he returns. I don't know why he wouldn't.
Yeah.
What's
his highlight tape look like for other teams?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If he's back, how much can he develop? But I saw Rob Lewis, VolQuest.com, because people were talking about Chance Mallory, high school guy who's supposed to announce the 22nd. And nobody seems to really know where he's going. But I saw Rob Lewis make the comment, said, I'd be focused a whole lot more on who the portal point guard is than I would Chance Mallory if he comes in.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the big one. And, at this point in time with it, I think if we look at Rick Barnes recruiting and say what's subpar, does it matter?
Not really. I think it matters in the aspect of not filling out your roster, which we, of course, have failed the strike of that blow this year. Other than that, not really. Tennessee is not in the state of NIL funding to fund one-and-done players that are willing to come to Tennessee and not play as big as a role as they would at other teams. So we've gotten lucky with that, with the Julian Phillips, the Kennedy Chandler, and then what's the guy on Keon Johnson, like those guys that come in one and done and they move on. Those guys are lucky. I don't think today they would commit to Tennessee right now just because they're going to make a lot more in NIL money at other schools. And that's the same thing. Like Tennessee's not going to get huge players that are coming out of high school just because they're not going to be able to pay as much as other teams, just because they're not going to play the same role at Tennessee as they would elsewhere. Like you got to be prepared to come to Tennessee and possibly sit the bench or play, just be a role player whenever they could go to another school and not get criticism for shooting 28% from 3-point land. Like that's just kind of how it is, unfortunately. But Rick Barnes, he's nailed recruiting out of the portal recent years. So that's truly all that matters in today's area of college basketball, especially with his game. He wants guys with experience. So I think for Rick, it's okay. I do want to see a much more filled out roster if he does return next year, which I hope he does.
I think he's back. I don't think there's any doubt. I would almost go 100% he's back.
I didn't expect Nick Saban to do it, but
that's true.
By the grace of God, at like 3:45 on a Tuesday afternoon, it fell to us. So
that is true. I think Barnes, where we've seen other guys hit the road, and say, I can't deal with this. I think it's been the best thing for Barnes. You mentioned Julian Phillips. I saw Rob Lewis make the comment because they're saying that Nate Ament, who's the top remaining recruit on the board, is commanding possibly about $3 million or more. Well, in this NIL era, Tennessee's not going to pay that because they have a culture. But when you have to fill out so many slots on it too, because you have returning, you've got Okpara. You mentioned a couple of them, Okpara, JP Estrella, Cade Phillips. We talked about Bishop Boswell. I feel that's it, isn't it?
That's all the scholarship guys.
That's all the scholarship guys. Now you shift to recruiting, and you've got Amari Evans.
Oh, yeah, baby.
So he looks more or less to me like a glorified Jemai Meshack.
Yeah, he kind of
And saying that, I mean, he's a consensus 4-star. Tough dude, plays a lot of D, better offensively coming in. And then you got Dwayne Brown, 6'9", guy at Hoover, Alabama as well. Runs the court well, does some things, may take a little bit on it. So you've got basically 6 guys coming back, and you can have, 13? If I'm not mistaken, I may be wrong on that.
I don't know.
Because I know Tennessee was short.
13 to 15.
So if you're Tennessee, now you got to hit the portal on it. Do you spend $3 million on one guy, or do you go spread it around? And you mentioned Julian Phillips. I saw Rob Lewis make the comment of, well, they invested pretty good in NIL on Julian Phillips and Freddie DeLeon. We saw how those two worked out.
Come on. Yeah, baby.
DeLeon, nothing.
Baseball.
Julian Phillips, did they just do something?
Yeah, they had the bases loaded. Well, first off, Abernathy swinging bunt to make the bases loaded because his speed. The pitcher just botched the ball because how fast he is. So Inslee came up and hit a line drive right off the pitcher's foot.
I see it. Nice.
So scored 1, but everybody advances a base. So 6-4.
Baseball down 6-4 to Alabama. What'd you say? Disastrous second inning.
That was just horrid. Just like, oh my gosh, it was weird because Tennessee's over here playing basketball, NCAA tournament, first round. We're whooping up on a SoCon team, and here I am just pissed off at the world because Tennessee baseball's having a disastrous inning. I had to look at myself. I was like, what are you doing right now? Like, it's the second inning, and I'm pissed off over a baseball game whenever Rick Barnes is winning a game that really, truly matters 1,000 times more than this baseball game ever will. So
I'm pissed off over the baseball game for another reason. I text you. Yeah. I get ESPNU. I have promoted ESPNU on here, or excuse me, ESPN Plus this year, and not a single freaking game has been on ESPN. They've all been SEC Network Plus or now ESPNU. So if you got ESPN Plus, they do you no good. I canceled tonight. I went straight in after I couldn't get it tonight, and I canceled. I downgraded just to Disney Plus so I can watch all the Marvel stuff that I'm not caught up on. But it's like, yeah, thankfully with you, I went and found the game. You had a good suggestion. I found it, and I've got it on. But
Sackfly.
Kind of going, I'm kind of shifting gears here a little bit on it, but I am going to shift to a little bit of baseball. The fact that it started off so bad, they had 6 runs, and Doyle got into the 7th. That almost impressed me a little more than last weekend because I don't think we need him to strike out 14 or 15 every night because he's not going to get through the 5th inning.
Yeah.
If that happens, sometimes let your defense work. And I think it was a pretty solid effort.
It was.
And he also faced some adversity.
And then the weird thing is he was over 50 pitches, close to 60 pitches at the end of the second inning. And he got through the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. I think he may have just cracked over 100 pitches. Another reason why he cracked over 100 pitches because his defense let him down once again in the bottom of the 6th inning. They didn't score, but they did the same thing they've done all night, is botched the baseball. But both teams have done that, unfortunately.
Yeah, I saw somebody say, and there was a guy, I think it was Douglas Graham. I don't know if he's listening tonight or not. He said, old school me, I'd put Antigua in and roll with him. I don't disagree because I don't think we have those 9 consistent bats right now. And his defense is on another level. You said it on. I saw you tweeted it. Well, it was a couple nights ago. He's the best defensive player in the country.
There's
He's
no doubt
awesome,
about
man.
that.
There's nobody close to him, at least on this team. But yeah, I totally agree on that. Make sure you hit the like, the share, the subscribe tonight, guys. We've hit over 3,000 and moving forward. Super chats are greatly appreciated on here. I'm going to hit them up. Make sure you check out the link in the description for the memberships, the Patreons as well. For one thing for sure, with super chats, with memberships, we're going to get your comments read along the way. We're going to stick to our dialogue for the most part, unless it's that. I got to promote a little bit, saying, and I say this as well, if you get upset about it, so be it. But there's a lot of work that goes into this. It's not free, and it's almost like a part-time job in a bit. So, any super chats, super thanks, they are very, very much appreciated along the way. Not begging for money. I do work a job besides this, but just the monetary things, sometimes they are very much appreciated as well. Moving forward with baseball, we'll probably get where we wrap up basketball on this along the way. Finish my thought here. Tennessee moves on to the Sweet 16 if ...
Chaz Lanier plays the same way he did tonight. Ziegler does what he always does, and have another guy step up. That could be Gainey. That could be Igor. That could be Akpara having 15 like he sometimes does. It could be anybody. Just really Chaz 20 plus, Gainey 15, 10 to 15 to 20 in that range. And then Zakai does what he continues to do of have a double-double of points and assists. And then I think Tennessee's in a good spot just to advance to the Sweet 16.
I think you've answered this already tonight, but I'll ask you, who's the one guy we need to step up the most?
Igor.
Yep.
1,000%. I need more rebounds. I don't feel like the rebounding was that good tonight. And that could be a Cade Phillips issue of Cade Phillips takes those minutes and gets some rebounds because he is very effective at doing that. I understand you sacrifice a little bit of the perimeter defense and the scoring, of course, and then just the versatility kind of that you have comparing Igor and Phillips. But Phillips grabs rebounds, and sometimes all you need is a guy to get rebounds for you. So Tennessee can win games, whether it's Akpara, Igor, or Phillips grabbing the rebounds. It's just a matter of who's having the hot hand whenever it comes to that aspect, I feel like.
I said it earlier in the week. I broke down the Midwest region on here. Of course, spoiler alert, if you've not listened, go check it out. I picked Tennessee to win. But I went game by game on it. Of course, the 4 and 5, I totally missed because I picked High Point to beat Purdue, and I picked Clemson to beat McNeese, and we know both those went the other way. But I picked Houston, Gonzaga, which it was. I picked Illinois, Kentucky. I picked UCLA, Tennessee on it. And the one thing I said along the way was, and it happened tonight, I said, same thing. I kind of echoed what you just said. We don't need Jemai Meshack to be the leading rebounder. Him getting 7's great.
Yeah.
We want that, but that doesn't need to be the lead. We need Igor. We need Akpara. We need Cade Phillips, which Cade had 5 tonight. Akpara had 5. Milicic had 3. And we just need a little bit more because against Florida, to me, that was the difference in the ball game was Florida's bigs killed our bigs. I mean, that's the bottom line. Finish this one for me. Tennessee goes to the house on Saturday if ...
Chaz Lanier, less than 10 points. Rely on Gainey to score a lot. Get out rebounded. And then Zakai having a few too many turnovers. I feel like that's a recipe for disaster. I feel like that's kind of the recipe of some of the losses this season, of even the Florida game and the championship game, relying on Gainey to score you a lot of points. And he's doing it for you, but if you're relying on him to score you a bunch of your points, Tennessee's already in a hole that they're having a hard time climbing out of. So, and that's been kind of how it's went this year. Whenever Gainey's hot, unfortunately, it's Tennessee trying to climb back out of a hole. So there's a lot of aspects of that could go wrong that would send Tennessee home.
Seems like Illinois was the one where it worked out.
Yeah.
That he took. And it's weird, too, because it's kind of like whoever scores would seem like the mindset, but it's weird, though, Chaz doing it versus Gainey, what the difference.
It is.
Yes. And I want both scoring. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think you're
still want both to have 20.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love for Chaz, Gainey, and Zakiah all go for 20.
Yeah.
I mean,
they all score 20. Tennessee's winning. I don't care who we're playing.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, it's proven now. If Chaz scores 20, we win.
Yeah, pretty much.
It seems like if Chaz scores 20 and nobody else scores, we're winning 20-15 or something.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, it's kind of weird how that is. But I agree. I totally agree with you. If he's around 10 points, Gainey has to do the scoring. We're getting killed on the boards. That's a recipe to go to the house.
Yep.
And it's kind of been repeated along the way too. I'll add this one too. If a team forces us into 30 or more threes, we're in trouble. I really think so. Absolutely. If we can keep it 25 or less, that's a pretty good number on it. And Chaz actually, if he scores what they say 20, it's like 19, I think is what it actually 18, 19, something like that. We got to have that. That's what he brings to the table. And I think these next teams, watch now, UCLA's up 21-16. Looks like Utah State presses a lot. That, to me, yeah, we're going to see UCLA. They're going to wear Utah State out here. Because I think if a team presses Tennessee the whole game, they're going to get in trouble. Because Ziegler can break the press.
Yeah.
Gainey can break the press. Do you like the fact that I'm trying to wrap up, but I still got a couple good questions, or at least I feel like. Do you think it's a good idea waiting like 5 minutes into the game for Gainey to come in?
I don't like it. I think Gainey, he could be the best scorer on the team. I don't necessarily think that they played him as much today as I would have expected. I don't feel like he was definitely as big of a factor as we kind of expected. He was late in the second half, but I didn't see as much from him as I would have originally expected if Tennessee would have won like the way they did if you would have told me that before game. So I don't know. It's kind of weird, but I'm not going to think too much about it, especially if he does what we kind of have seen from him next game.
I don't know if you've looked or not. How many guys were in double figures tonight for Tennessee?
Chaz. Should have just been Chaz and Sakai, right?
That's it. 29 and 12. Yep. That's it. It was pretty balanced outside of Chaz. Chaz carried it with 29, Zakiah 12, Akpara 7, Milicic 5, Mashak 9, Cade Phillips 6. 6 out of 8 from the free throw line. I'll take that with Cade Phillips.
Yeah, that's really good.
He's normally not that great of a free throw shooter. 2 points by Bishop Boswell. I can finally retire tonight my line of Boswell blank minutes and his typical 0 points on the night. So we're looking 6-5 Tennessee baseball. We're in the top of the 8th inning. We're getting down to the nitty gritty. We're going to wrap up on that one so we can go watch it along the way. Any final thoughts before we move on? And then we'll discuss what looks the way this thing's trending. I think is Tennessee UCLA. Could change. It's still fairly close, but I just think UCLA is better. But
survive in advance.
That's
I don't care how ugly it is on Saturday. If Tennessee wins or finishes the game with one more point than UCLA,
yep,
I'm perfectly happy. You can say criticism all you want, like we've talked about criticism tonight, or who needs to step up. In reality, I don't really care as long as Tennessee wins. That's the point of the season we're at right now. I don't care if we would have played Tennessee School of the Blind today and beat them by one. I wouldn't harp on Tennessee too much. I mean, all you have to do in March is win. It's all that matters is you win. I don't care how you do it. I don't care how ugly it is. We saw Tennessee win ugly games in the past in March Madness, and nobody really says too much about it. You can't harp about it because the hardest thing to do in March is win, and I don't care how you do it. I love it. You could beat Tennessee School of Blind by one, and I'd love it. I'd love every second of it because
Yeah.
that's what March is.
Yep. That's all that matters at this point. And if anybody's out there like, well, we should have beat them by 20 or 20. You know what? Just go take a nap.
Yeah.
Drink some beer, smoke a joint, whatever, take a nap, and just calm down, because at this point, you said the 3 words that matter: survive and advance. That's all that matters. Solid outing tonight, and I'm like you. I don't care if the rest of the games they win by 1 point.
Yep.
That's all that matters. When you get to tournament time, whether it's football playoffs, if Tennessee would have, of course, they got annihilated by Ohio State, if they would have beaten them by 1 point, and then et cetera, et cetera. Tennessee baseball last year, once they got to the NCAA tournament, if they win every game by 1 run, who cares?
Yep.
1 run. You're not out for style points at that point. You're out to survive and advance. That's what I'm looking for. UCLA may be a tough one.
Yeah.
Saturday.
And
I think at this point, really, any of them are going to be.
Yeah. And I would say the thing is about UCLA, unless I'm totally mistaken, is unless they've had a coaching change, he's a coach that does have experience and success in the tournament. And it doesn't matter how good or bad your team is. Coaches that have success in the tournament, they typically get the upper hand. You saw that today, Gonzaga versus Georgia. You also saw that in Creighton versus Louisville. The 2 8-9 matchups, the 2 coaches that had a lot more experience ultimately won the game. I mean, today the only time you could really gripe about that is Bill Self versus John Calipari today, where John Calipari got the upper hand, but that doesn't. They're both elite coaches and
Calipari's
2 of
had
the greatest
plenty.
of all time. So, it's just
Calipari's
kind of
had a ton of success going back to
yeah,
UMass. He had a lot more success before Bill Self ever had it. So
yeah. And
Marcus Camby, Lou Rowe, and guys
I
at
think
UMass.
I think I saw in whenever they were talking about that game or showing during the game that I think maybe both coaches had beat each other in a national championship game. I know one of them beat each other in a national championship game. I don't know if it's both ways, but I saw that. So both those coaches have, of course, extreme success. That's the outlier. Most of the time, coaches that have good success, they typically get the upper hand in March Madness because they've been there before. They know how to prepare their guys. They know how to win. And we saw that on display in 2 games today that I just come off the top of my brain.
I know that Self beat Calipari. Kansas beat Memphis for the national. That was the only time I think that all 4 number 1s made the Final 4, and it was Kansas and Memphis. The year Calipari won at Kentucky, I can't remember who they beat that year. It could have been Kansas. I know that was the Anthony Davis team. So that is possible. But yeah. I mean, there's Cronin for UCLA. He was at Cincinnati before. I think he had some success there. He wouldn't have gotten a UCLA job if he. And ironically enough, that was the one Rick Barnes was supposedly almost the coach, and they wouldn't make the buyout. That's when Philip Fulmer was the AD. That would not have happened under Danny White. Philip Fulmer about destroyed the whole damn athletic department down there.
He really did.
So, I know I appreciate him winning the 98 national championship, but after that, he was I got mixed feelings on Philip Fulmer, to be honest with you. But it is what it is. That's another topic for another day. Let's go watch some baseball here. It is 6-5 Vols. Don Bar goes up. We need something out of him here. 8th inning. We're going to wrap up on that one. He's Carey. This is Frank. House of Orange. Guys, have a great rest of the evening. Last but not least, go Vols. Let me find my outro here. There we go.